Ken Trahan of SportsNola.com with Lenny Vangilder for the football weekend. And it starts with college football in the Superdome. Tulane against UTEP. Lenny, a must-win game for Tulane at 2-4 against a team that they've beaten 3 of the last 4 times.
They have really dominated UTEP in the Bob Toledo era. It's probably the one team they can say that about. And you're right, this is a must-win this week and next week against Memphis. You get it back to 4-4 perhaps. 5 games to go. It gets a lot tougher from that point on, but you can get on a roll. Who knows what might happen at that point. Inspired effort in the second half and toward the end of the first half against Syracuse, but I guess it begs the question, where was that to start that game when they were sleepwalking? Well, you never know sometimes, and sometimes the switch goes on, and a defense that really couldn't stop Syracuse all of a sudden continued to get 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it late in the game to get the stop and win the game, although it seemed like they had a shot of getting one. And much like what happened to the Saints a day later, it was a third-down penalty on a roughing the passer call that kept the drive alive, and Syracuse went in to kick the winning field goal. With Ryan Grant out, a team desperately in need of a go-to receiver, and Xavier Rush emerges. Might they have something here? Very possibly. He's a guy they didn't use a lot in the first 5 games of the season. All of a sudden, he has a 60-yard, a 58-yard touchdown catch, had a 3rd touchdown catch called back. He was huge, and that's what they need right now is some big plays coming out of that offense. LSU #1 on the road at Tennessee, and Knoxville to take on the Vols. Backup quarterback for the second straight week opposing the Tigers. Looks good for LSU, and yet Ed Daniels writes about how things were so different a year ago. LSU, Tennessee, and everybody's ready to get rid of Les Miles. Things have changed a little bit since then. Well, let's not forget one thing about that game as well is that Sims started that game for Tennessee. He'll be the starter tomorrow. He's lost his job to Tyler Bray, who broke his thumb last week against Georgia. Thus, Sims now gets the job back. But this is a little bit different situation than it was with Florida a week ago, who was running any number of freshmen out there at the quarterback position. This is at least a guy with a little bit of experience. He has a couple of skins on the wall, but obviously is not the best quarterback for Tennessee. And you got to wonder about John Chavis. Does he want to make a statement going back to Knoxville this week and show, look at my defense and look what I've got here? I think LSU wants to make a statement. Everybody makes a big deal about Tennessee and the revenge factor about one they should have won. I think LSU is motivated by that as well, and I think they'll handle Tennessee. The Saints, of course, are on the road to finish off that 3-game road trip at Tampa Bay. Don't know what to expect from the Bucs. You know what to expect from the Saints. They'll play well, and I think they'll win the game. The Buccaneers, they've given the Saints some trouble recently, but typically not in Tampa. No, the road team has dominated really in the last 2 years. Tampa's come into New Orleans and won the last 2 years. The Saints have been very impressive the last 2 years at Raymond James Stadium. Tampa Bay, what a brutal schedule they have. You go back 2 weeks, they played the Colts on Monday night. They had to travel across the country last week to play a Sunday game at San Francisco, come back home, play the Saints, and then next week they're going to London to play the Bears. So they're racking up the frequent flyer miles in a short period of time here for the Bucs. Can't imagine they like that very much. Let's keep in mind that Tampa Bay won in New Orleans when the Saints had nothing to play for the last 2 years. So I think the Saints are clearly the better team, and I think they'll win the game to finish off this road trip 3-0. And your thoughts? I agree. I think clearly the way the Saints are playing right now, playing very efficient football, the emergence of Jimmy Graham here over the last 3 weeks, that offense, with that tight end, you add that weapon to Drew Brees' arsenal, it's pretty doggone unstoppable. And with regard to LSU and Tulane, with Tulane, UTEP, pick a game. I'll go according to form and take Tulane since they've won the last few. Yeah, and I'm going to as well. This game, you've had 2 entertaining games the last 2 years between these 2 teams. 2 years ago in the Dome, won overtime. Tulane scored 1 second left in regulation to tie it. Could be that kind of game again tomorrow, and I will go with the sweep with LSU and Knoxville. Yeah, I think LSU will make a statement against Tennessee and win by double digits on the road, and, of course, everybody counting down toward Tuscaloosa. Have a good football weekend. Enjoy it. And check out full coverage here at SportsNola.com. For Lenny Vangilder, I'm Ken Trahan.